Well, we've been to Czech Republic, haven't we?
Yeah.
Years ago, and
That's it.
no, haven't we been to Poland?
No.
Didn't we go?
Nope.
Okay, well.
But Zagreb is actually, as we know, it is a friend town to Tromsø. And there's a road in Tromsø called Zagreb Road. Just to
What can you find on that road? It's a
normal
It's
houses.
a red light district.
Not as far as we know. There might be something behind closed doors that's going on there that we don't know of. But it's a very fairly normal road in Tromsø. And I think I knew someone, or someone in my class lived there when I went in school. Zagrebveien.
Är det uppe med Kemivägen uppe där?
Yeah, in that neighborhood.
You come from Tromsø. How long have you been lived there?
I moved from Tromsø when I was 20.
20.
Yes.
And you are living now
In Bergen. We're both living in Bergen, further south in Norway, which is a bit more European, one might say, than Tromsø, which is very far north and not so European, probably more exotic for people coming from the south.
What can you do in Tromsø?
Well, we started making music as kids in Tromsø just because there wasn't too much to do. I think that's a common problem when you are a youth, that you find it hard to find something meaningful to do. And you could either drive a small motorcycle or make music. That's the options you have, the only two.
You did both things, or
No, we actually only made music.
and what is the difference between Bergen and Tromsø? Bergen is also not very big. Or
It's much bigger than Tromsø. Tromsø has something between 50 and 60,000 inhabitants.
No, it's got 66,000 inhabitants.
Okay.
Bergen?
I don't know, 200, 300,000.
Yeah, I think if you count the sort of the surrounding suburbs of Bergen, it's probably like I'd say 300,000 or so. And it's the second biggest city in Norway. But then again, the biggest city in Norway contains, well, is inhabited by like 1 million people or so. So it's quite a big difference between the biggest and second biggest.
What can you do in Bergen when you are not in studio?
You can. The only thing you can do is rollerblade, and yeah, I think that's basically it. What can you do? Probably the same things you can do in most other, cities in the world, I guess. I don't know what people do. Walk around. In Bergen, they probably walk around in the rain because it rains 2/3 of the year in Bergen. There's 240 days a year with rain, or at least some elements of rain in the air. So it's a quite rainy city.
I heard the booze is also very expensive.
Well, yeah, in particularly probably in comparison to Zagreb, I'd assume it's probably 5 times as expensive in Norway due to heavy taxation on alcohol and tobacco and so on. But yeah, Norway is very expensive to live in.
And is it not you can do music for the whole world from so small city from a periphery of the world? Is it obstacle or is it?
Well, we find it to be beneficial to be secluded the way we are in terms of. Should I hold this?
If you want to.
Yeah, no, yeah, whatever. Okay. Yeah, I think we find it to be an advantage being secluded. It allows us to develop our own particular sound and our own songs and withdraw a bit from potential trends that might be going on, the shifting trends in huge cities. If we lived in New York, we might be just be following the stuff that all other people in, let's say, a big city is doing. Whereas when we are living in Bergen, it's easier for us to generate our own, expression and style, which is something we obviously want to embrace and try to do.
Is it the same with another Scandinavic pop stars? It's a long tradition from ABBA, Cardigans, Why? It's a relative small amount of people live there. What's your explanation for such a big amount of very creative artists? Like I don't know.
Mm.
Yes, or Aha also.
Mm. Well, it's probably a bit hard for us to talk on behalf of these artists. Well, traditionally seen, Sweden.
Also you.
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
like for instance, for you, how do you explain it? There is no such a Croatia is also 4 million people, so that
Mm.
we don't have such a big stars.
I don't even know what to say to that, apart from the fact that again, the Swedes have traditionally been the one sort of musical export of Scandinavia. You mentioned yourself ABBA, obviously, as an obvious example, and Cardigans, and so on and so forth. Norway has sort of been in the backwater of Sweden in terms of musical, and especially musical exports to the rest of the world. I guess like 10 years ago there was some sort of a new sort of self-confidence grew up in the new aspiring musicians. People felt that instead of trying to imitate what was going on in the charts in the rest of the world, one should try to focus on one owns music and try to generate something particular that perhaps is a bit outside of the ordinary and perhaps sounds a bit Norwegian or Scandinavian, if you want. Perhaps that will make it more interesting, and that might be the reason why some people have decided, let's try to do something different that doesn't strive to sound like it's been made in America, because obviously it'll only sound a bit lesser than the original American artist.
So how important is the fact for your music that you are living in Norway? Would you think that your music would be sounds different if you would live in Sicily or I don't know, North Africa also?
I don't know. We just want to encourage everyone to wherever they are to be true to themselves and make the music. It is possible, and it was shown to us pre-internet that it was possible to be living on the outskirts of this cultural center and still have an impact, still release music that reach people in other areas. It's just about, you use the mail, you send a DAT cassette, you send a CD, you send a file nowadays over the internet, and it will reach people. It doesn't matter where you are, really. And another aspect is that where you're from will color what you do in some way. And hopefully other people will appreciate it, because it is, I think, just speaking for ourselves and the reaction we have, I think people find our music to contain something that they don't know, yet something familiar, something that feels like they've known for some time. And that's probably an effect of the fact that we are from a place that people don't know much about.
Is your message to a young musician in a small country like Croatia to encourage him to do something?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. You don't have to go in the sort of traditional way of moving to a bigger city in a more central area in order.
And obviously,
I think we are proof of that.
I also believe that if you move to a city with a huge population, there's probably more people, trying to be the top dog, basically. There's more competition, if you want. And I also believe that the fact that we come from Norway is, it might be regarded as exotic. And if there was some, artist in Croatia that, all of a sudden got recognition, it would probably be beneficial that this person lived in Zagreb or somewhere in Croatia, because it'll make it more intriguing. At least to me, it would be like, well, is this music coming from Croatia? People wouldn't expect the music that we make. They wouldn't expect it to be made by two Norwegians. That's something we've sort of heard all the time. So.
Okay, but big artists like I don't know, Coldplay or mix it because you are from Norway, but because you are good in that what you are doing.
That is true, but you have to be sort of discovered by the public, And unfortunately, it's not as easy or simple. You know, good music doesn't always prevail. In an ideal world, it should be so that, you know, if you made something good, everybody should know about it. But that's not, unfortunately not the way it works. You know, there is, I mean, it goes the other way around. There's quite a lot of crap music that's being forced down your throat. You know, it's just the way it works. You know, there are certain other forces sort of running the show, and not just the music. So having that little sort of hook to hang the music on, i.e. saying that we're from Norway, it's as far as I'm concerned a good thing. And I think that could be for a Croatian woman or man as well, you know, could be a good thing to hang on if they want to sell the music.
How important these remixes from another stars for you? Is it more important than your own music, or because you have a big amount of work for another artist? Do you have to like them to remix them, or is it just a job for you?
Well, we probably should say that we should have respect for the artist in order to do the remix, and it isn't really based on some deep thought what we're doing in remixing. It's just when we feel like doing a remix and we have the time for it, we'll do it. It's as simple as that. It's an outlet for us, a different outlet than playing live and releasing albums under our own name. It is somewhat less serious. It is, I mean, the concept is obviously that someone are working really hard with their own material, and they send us some files and say that we can do whatever we want with them, and then they'll even pay us. So it is a thing that there's no great philosophy behind it, other than that we are having fun while doing it.
The next question is, how would you describe your music to somebody from Croatia who never heard about you? You know, it's very, very different.
I think we had to use images and symbolism, and say that it is moss, you know, what grows in the forest, and maybe on the lower parts of trees. It is a lot of moss, a hint of titanium, and there is more sun than night, but still the night parts are almost out darkening the sun in some aspects.
How much attention do you pay to the music critics?
The critics?
Yes.
I pay attention to the critics if I find that there's someone who's writing well about music. Then it's always interesting to read. That are able to say something about music in words, which is obviously a really difficult thing, because music is such an abstract thing, abstract language. I don't know who said this, but it was someone who said talking about music or writing about music is like dancing about architecture. It makes no sense, but some people can pull it off, and these critics, obviously you want to read what they have to say.
I read somewhere, critic, that your music sounds like soundtrack for the book 20,000 Miles Under the Sea from Jules Verne.
That's a compliment.
Did you find it good, or?
Very good. I mean, we both read that book, and Jules Verne is I mean, his universe is just, it's like someone who has this rich storage of imagination. It just seems like it's pouring out, and it's very rich, and I mean, it's a style of writing that takes you somewhere, and we hope, of course, that our music is of that kind, that the listener can listen to it and be taken somewhere.
Underwater music.
Yeah, and also, well, the thing again with Jules Verne, I think, is you know, it's futuristic, but still it's futuristic in an old way, at least, you know, for us now in 2005, which is it's very appealing. I don't know how to compare that to our music in any way, but you know, we feel we really want to, you know, move perhaps forward in some way, but not being, you know, cyber in our way of making music. We are not a completely like digital, cutting edge cyber thing. We're a blend between. I mean, to me, Jules Verne does this. He has like a mechanic, futuristic point of thing. Things are mechanic, like they're jointed by screws and bolts, and I don't know how to explain. It's very good. If anyone has read a comic by a guy called Alan Moore, which is called The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, it's a good comic that one should read, and I think that to some extent illustrates some of that futuristic take that Jules Verne has on certain things. And
it could be described as, I mean, sending a message from London to New York. The real futuristic way is, of course, or something very electronic and digital, and the Jules Verne way or Alan Moore way is if there was a tube going under the sea, and you put the message in a capsule and there was a rocket launching it all the way around. It's more mechanical, more hands-on, and more somehow it has this color to it, which is almost nostalgia because of the beliefs people had in the future. If you go back to the 30s, 40s and 50s, which are so more spectacular and also so much more optimistic than what reality has become.
We are now in 2005. Did you ever have, as you were a little kid, did you have any idea how would it be in the year 2000?
Do we have to go into that?
Yes, please.
I think as probably everyone had beliefs that it would be a difference, which was more visual, and that especially that flying objects there would be more of them in the air.
I remember, you know, in sort of the early 80s when I was a kid, mid 80s, when I was about 10, I thought that, okay, in 2000, you know, that's like 15 years ahead. If one jumps back from 1985 and, you know, 15 years back, it's 1970. And I had a vision of, okay, 1960s, 70s, how different that was to what I was experiencing in 1985. So I just thought, okay, 15, 20 years ahead in the future, it's going to be very different. And obviously, not too much happened. So I'm a bit disappointed.
You can send your files.
Yeah, but that's not vivid enough. There has been no sort of radical change. Obviously, yes, in terms of IT technology and so on, but that's not appealing enough. There's too little rebellion and it's not groundbreaking enough.
What are you expecting? What
Well, you know, exploration of planets and flying objects, as Torbjörn says, matter transporters. I was very much hoping to see a matter transporter before I, you know, turn 30.
like tubes under the ocean?
Yeah, anything, you know, glowing and flying and bending light so that you can become invisible and so on. Mm.
Well, we get to the point where I have to ask you, who is Lino?
Lino is a character, a creature that is spawned out of a guy called Sam Arthur's imagination. We don't know too much about Lino apart from the information that is being given to us in the video for the character. And for those who have seen it, they know the story. It's, I assume, an sort of an Arctic creature, bear-like, or potentially a boy in a bear suit. that was in captivity, but is now free, hopefully living happily ever after with his female counterpart. Yeah. Yeah, probably. I don't know. It's a long time since he called me, so he's probably having the time of his life.
Okay, and the last question, I think everybody asks me that. Why does it Röyksopp mean? Is it a funk or is it?
Well, there's many meanings to the word, and one of them is it's simply just a little fungus that is quite common in Norway. In English, it's called puffball. Furthermore, it's also the mushroom cloud that comes up after the explosion of an atomic bomb. Even more so, it's a Norwegian word that is very uncommon to use, and most importantly, it's just a name so stupid nobody would even dare to have it as a band name, apart from the two of us, obviously.
And in the end, we just want it to not mean anything but the music that is released under the name. So that Royksopp only means, in a musical sense, the music that we make.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
It's like a Briljanteen.
Briljanteen.
Yes.
Okay.
You're watching Briljanteen. Is that what you want us to say?
Yeah,
Greetings to all the watchers of your viewers of Briljanteen.
Briljanteen. Should we give them a message then?
Mm-hmm.
You can do it.
Du har, ser jeg nå, når du liksom kommer ned, et hår i høyre nesebor. Nei. Nei, jeg tror ikke noen ser det, det er lyst. Jeg ser det bare når sola kommer inn. Det sender de.
Ja.
Hva skal jeg si da? Har vi en beskjed? Jeg har ingen beskjed egentlig. Jeg synes alltid det er vanskelig.
Do you want a message or just a station ID? Because it's too early in the morning for us to come with something profound.
You can do whatever you want in Norway.
Okay.
Just say Briljanteen.
Okay.
Hei, vi er Röyksopp. Jeg er Torbjørn.
Jeg er Svein.
Du sitter og ser på TV på Briljanteen. Men det gjør ikke vi.
Takk for det.
Men vi skulle ønske vi kunne gjort det. Litt.
Okay, that's in Norwegian. Should we do one in English as well? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Torbjørn.
And I'm Svein.
We are Royksopp.
And you are watching Briljanteen. And as Peter Pan said, you can do it, you can do it. If you put your mind to it. I think.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Was it Peter